her boyfriend walks over and all I see is this in his pants. And I was like, oh my God, like I am scarred. Like, are y'all some swingers? Like, what are we doing?
And we can ride the boogie, share that beat of love. I wanna ride
Hey guys, my name is Donita and welcome to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. If this is your very first time here, please let me know in the comments below how you found my channel. On this channel, I do clothing hauls, black love, travel vlogs, and my main wig reviews. And today, we're going to get into something a little bit different, you guys. A couple years ago, I did a story time, and this is what it is. And I wanted to like do another one. I was like, this was so much fun just sitting here chatting, not really having much to do, and just telling, you know, my experience and my views on certain things. And I wanted to do it again. So today we were going to talk about me being traumatized from past friendships. And I know that there are some other women out there that have experienced the same thing. So I want to tell my story, and I want to tell y'all some different ways that we can overcome it and how to move forward. So stay tuned for the rest of this video. I just feel so weird coming on here telling y'all about my trauma. Like, I don't know, like when I sit back and think about certain things, I'm like, this shit is funny. But then a part of me is like, no, it's real. And then another part of me is like, other women have the same trauma. I want to talk about how friendships really will traumatize you. But before I talk about that, I want to give y'all the story of what happened and why I'm traumatized or was traumatized, and how I am moving forward / moved forward from that. So yes, we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to tell y'all the story of how I met, because this friendship literally happened in a matter of, I want to say everything happened in a matter of 3 to 4 months. So I originally met this girl through a mutual friend. Her name is, let's just say, Elizabeth. Her name is Elizabeth, right? And we met through a mutual friend. His name, I'm going to just say Coach D. So my husband went to a gym and he was taking classes there. And he met Coach D, and them two like kind of built a friendship. And then Coach D had like a big like gathering at his house. And I want to say it was about 8 of us. There was about 8 of us. Everybody was coupled up. So it was me and my husband. We were married at the time. Elizabeth and her boyfriend. They were boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. And then there was another couple that was with us. And then there was Coach D and his girl. So what happened? So once we get there, we meet everybody. Everybody was cool. Like I didn't really pay attention to anything, you know. I was just like, okay, we're here, like, you know, new environment, get to meet new people. Like, it was cool. You know, everybody had drinks. We had wine, we had shots, we had like, you know, met alcohol on deck. And then one of the other couples, they kind of sat next to me, and like we were talking, and it was really nice getting to know them. So, you know, once we got kind of settled in and like we had a couple drinks, I started like, you know, observing things, because I'm a Libra. That's what we do. We observe. So, you know, I looked around the room and I kept seeing that Elizabeth kept staring at my husband, and I was like, do they know each other? Because I'm like, what she keep looking at him for? You know, I didn't like, and mind you, I didn't think nothing negative of it. I always try to give people the benefit of the doubt in situations, and I was like, do they know each other? Like, what's going on? So anyway, I didn't realize that she taught classes at that gym too. I didn't know at the time. So, you know, throughout the rest of the night, like we're all talking and mingling. Everybody said like how they had a good time. And her boyfriend that was there with her, I honestly thought he was gay. I didn't know they were together. Like, they weren't holding hands. They weren't kissing. He was sitting on a chair and she was sitting like on the floor. And I didn't know they were together. I literally thought he was gay. So that was like honestly the first encounter that we've had. It wasn't nothing like major. Me and her didn't really talk. And I was cool. Like, we went home, we said how much fun we had a nice time. So then Coach D invited us all out again. I think it was like his sister's like birthday party or something. She had like a 90s themed party, so we all kind of like dressed up in our 90s gear, and my sister was actually in town and she came with me. So, you know, throughout the party, the couple that was sitting next to me at the first time around, like, we saw them. I, you know, said hi to them or whatever. Didn't really speak to the other girl. Like, we said hi, but that was it. Like, we didn't really converse or anything. And so they had like a backdrop, like a 90s thing backdrop. So me and my sister were trying to get a good photo. My husband was terrible at taking my photos back then. Terrible. So the girl, Elizabeth, stepped in and she was like, oh, I'll take it for you. And she was like, yes, girl, yes, pose, pose. And I was like, okay, like, she hyping me up. Like, I like her. And I was like, okay, let me, like, warm up a little bit. So anyway, after that, like, I didn't really talk to her that much either. Like, me and my sister were dancing. Me and my husband were dancing. Like, it was cool. Like, it was cool vibes. So after that, Coach D had tagged all of us on Instagram, and everybody just started following each other. So she followed my husband. I followed her. I think I followed her man. I don't remember. I think I followed him. We all just, like, was following each other, like, in each other's pics. Like, oh, y'all look dope. You look dope. Whatever. So then once I actually saw, like, her Instagram, I was like, oh, we have a lot in common. Like, we both, like, modeled in, like, the same circle. Because we live in New Jersey. New York's right there. Like, we modeled in the same circle. I felt like we had a lot in common. Like, we kind of like the same things. Similar fashions, similar, like, movies and TV shows and things like that. And I was like, oh, like, we have a couple things in common. Like, I want to see if we could, like, build a friendship. So, the more and more, like, we kind of, like, exchange, like, likes and hearts and things like that. I was like, hey girl, like, here's my number, like, reach out, it was great seeing you, would love to see you again. And so she, she didn't seem super open about it. And I was like, okay, that's normal. Like, people do that. People are always kind of skeptical depending on, like, some of the past traumas that they've had with other friendships, like, whatever. I didn't think nothing of it. So my husband was taking some of her classes at the gym, and like, if he would miss her class, she'd be like, oh, we missed you today, or I see you didn't come to class today, like, DM him. And I was like, okay, like, all right, I'm gonna give people the benefit of the doubt. And I was like, okay, like, that's interesting. So after that, we started getting invites to her house. So she would tell either my husband or Coach D, at the gym, like, hey, we're having a gathering tonight, like, you guys can come through. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, we never actually had numbers. Like, Coach D would tell us where she lived and things like that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And she lived down the street from us. Like, she literally lived down the street. So I was psyched. I was like, oh, there's a pretty girl who I have a lot in common with, who lives down the street from me. Like, I don't have no friends here in New Jersey. Like, I was excited. So Coach D, he is a performer. He had a performance, and he told all of us, about the performance. We're like, okay, like, we'll buy tickets or whatever. So he actually gave me everyone's number from the group, and I started a group chat between all of us. And that was how I originally got this girl's number, because I gave her my number through the DMs. She never gave me her number back. So that was originally how I got her number. And she was actually one of the first people to respond. And I was like, hey, I was looking at tickets this day. Like, do y'all want to get tickets? So we all bought our tickets. The show ended up being canceled, and we couldn't get a refund. And I fought with Ticketmaster to get my money back, because I wasn't working at the time. I didn't have a job, and I was like, I can't be wasting money. So I ended up getting my money back because I fought hard for it. Everybody else didn't get their money back, so they ended up just going to the show anyway. So here's when things get a little bit weird. So a couple of times that me and her, like, would, cross paths, or we would go over to her house. Well, we would go over to her boyfriend's house, because she lived between his house and her mom's house. Like, they didn't actually live together officially. So, but they would invite their friends over. So a few things that happened that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was, one of them was when we came over and she was like, oh, where's your ring? Talking to my husband. She's like, yeah, you never have your ring on. And I'm just looking at her like, who notices that? Like, the reason why he didn't have his ring on was because every 6 months you're supposed to get your ring checked, and one of his diamonds were loose. So he shipped it off, and it took weeks to come back. I want to say like almost 6 weeks to come back. So, I guess in those 6 weeks, we've crossed paths a few times. And of course, at the gym, he's not going to wear a diamond ring to the gym. I mean, he could have gotten a rubber one, which he has now, but, this is back then. So, yeah, I just was like, why are you peeping that? So, okay, I'm like, whatever. Like, maybe she's just very observant. Like, I'm observant, but I don't always speak on things. Like, I just kind of, like, notice it, and I'll be like, okay, I'll save that for later, So then the gym was offering, like, a promo. Like, it was like an abs and ass class or butt and guts, whatever you want to call it. and she was teaching the class. I believe it was like a 3-month class. You paid for it, and you take her class like every Saturday, I think it was. So I was like, okay, you know, I'll support her, like, because that's how I am. I genuinely like wanted to support her, and I was trying to be genuine in that friendship. So I'm like, cool, you know, I supported her, paid my money, joined her class. I was taking it every Saturday. I think it was like from 11 to 12 or something, or 10 to 11, one of them. I can't remember. And every week I was taking her class, and after class I would like try to talk to her, and sometimes she would like kind of brush me off. And then in certain situations, it would be like, oh, I'll just see you later on tonight, you know? So I'm like, okay. So I want to say, like, after, like, week 3 or 4 was when she finally, like, warmed up to me. And we would talk after class and, like, giggle and, like, just do girly stuff, you know? So the more and more that we hung out, I just would notice she would say certain things. Like, that particular day I had drove to the gym. I was like, yeah, my husband was taking too long, so I left him. I was like, he'll be down here. And she's like, oh, you guys have your own car? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh. And I was like, okay. Like, her and her boyfriend had their own cars. Like, I don't know. Like, I almost felt like, I don't know. I almost felt like she thought we were poor or something. But, oh, look, I forgot to mention, she's half black and her boyfriend is white. So this is kind of crucial to the conversation, because I also noticed a little bit of colorism going on in the whole mist of everything. And I'm gonna tell y'all, because it's going to lead up to why I'm traumatized. So this one random ass day, we went over there and we were all drunk. And I don't know who said it, but they were like, yeah, something, my butt's bigger. Oh, no, my butt's bigger. Oh, well, let's measure it and see. So everybody started measuring their asses. Like, I was like, who does this shit? Not black people. Not black people. So, of course, I'm the only black girl out the group, so my butt was bigger than everyone's. She started measuring the guys, and I didn't think she was gonna measure my husband, but she measured my husband. She had her hands like really close to his pelvic area, and then she bent her head down, looked at it, and was like, oh, he has a lot of junk in his trunk. And I was like, who says that? Who says that? When I tell you I was hot, I was hot. I was pissed. I was like, did she really just say that? And again, I'm a Libra. It takes me a minute to like internalize things, because I don't want to believe people are bad. I literally tried to give this girl the benefit of the doubt. I tried to make up every excuse for her in a book, and I was like, she didn't mean that, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I felt away. So, you know, that was a Saturday night. The next couple days, I reached out to Coach D, because he knew her longer than we have. And I was like, hey, can I ask you something? And he was like, what's up? Because he used to call me sis. And I was like, he's like, what's up, sis? I was like, is she cool? And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, is Elizabeth cool? Like, because here's a couple things that she did, and it kind of just is making me, like, you know, wonder, like, what's going on. And so I told him, and he laughed, and he's like, oh, she's just goofy as hell. She's just ditzy. Like, she does dumb shit. And I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah, she's just dumb. And I was like, okay. Like, some people are the way they are. Like, they just do stuff and they don't think about it. And I was like, okay, cool. So then his girlfriend ended up calling me, and she told me, and I was like, don't make this a big deal. Like, don't go telling everybody. Because, you know, I just, like, from friend to friend, I just wanted to ask you, like, who are you bringing into my space? You know, like, I have to protect my energy and, you know, what I allow in my space. And she's like, no, like, it's fine. She's very ditzy. And basically, she implied that she's a gold digger, too. So her boyfriend's family has money. And that's what she implied. And I was like, okay, like, we're not balling, but we're not poor, you know? And at the time, like, we were in our 20s. Like, people don't really get settled until they're like 30. Anyway, that's neither here or there. So earlier I told y'all about the couple who, like, I had connected with. I had kind of like said something to her, and I was like, you know, this is something that I noticed. And she was like, oh yeah, my husband had mentioned that she just stares too. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, maybe that's just how she is, you know? Maybe that's just, she just stares and just doesn't realize it. Like, for example, my sister, she makes crazy face expressions when she's, like, expressing herself. And I always joke with her and tell her, like, if we ever are on a red carpet, like, you're gonna have to wear glasses because you're gonna be the meme for the next 10 years. So I was like, well, maybe that's just how she is. That's just something she does. And, you know, people do stuff and don't realize that they're doing it. So anyway, so over the next few weeks, like, you know, the holidays came, January came, and I still felt like she was being a little, like, weird towards me. Even, like, with New Year's, like, we were all in a group chat, and I was like, oh, love you guys. And she specifically said, I love you to someone else. And I was like, okay. Like, okay, girl. And after that, I was just like, whatever. Like, whatever. So then she finally started, like, coming out of her shell. Like, she's like an onion. Like, you have to peel back layers with her. And she finally started, like, opening up and, like, reaching out to me more and calling me more and, like, treating me as, like, an actual friend. And then her boyfriend's birthday was in January, and me and her went to, like, a place and we got dresses. We actually ended up getting the same dress. I saw the dress first and I really liked it. And she's like, oh my God, I love it. Like, I think I want to wear this for his birthday party. And I was like, okay, like, cool. And I was like, here's another one in the same size. Because I think we were like the same. I think she was a size smaller than me. Yeah, I was a medium. She was a small. I was like, hey, here's a small, like, try it on. She tried it on. She liked it. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get the medium for me. And I'm going to just not wear it, you know, until you wear your dress or whatever. And so that's what she wanted to wear. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'm not going to steal your spotlight. Like, if the moment's about you, it's about you. It's her boyfriend's party. She was planning it. It was a surprise party. Excuse me. It was a surprise party. And I'm like, you can have your moment. I still want the dress because I saw it first. So, yeah. So, for the birthday party, me and my husband ended up picking her up. We drove down to where the place was. She set up and did what she did. Everybody came. He walked in. We said surprise. Like, it was a good vibe. And then we ended up driving home. Like, we had a really, really nice time. And I want to make this point so y'all can see how good of a friend we were to them. Mind you, out of all the things, we always went to their house. We always came to them. So one particular night, she invited us over and she was like, hey, you know, you guys want to just cook dinner together and, you know, like, we can chill. I'm like, cool. So we went over there. I had made, like, a dish. They made some food. We kind of, like, you know, it was just the four of us. And she opened the door and had on these booty shorts. And mind you, the outfit was cute. It was definitely cute, but it was something that I would only wear for my husband. Like, it was, I know for a fact it was a Fashion Nova outfit because I was actually looking at it. And it came, like, off the shoulders, and then it was like a sweater material, and then the shorts were, like, really short, like, you could see the cuff of her butt. So I looked at her and I was like, oh, you look cute. And then she turned around and I was like, I looked at my husband, we looked at each other, and he was like, I would have snatched your little ass up. And I just, like, I was cracking up because he's like, I would never let you wear something like that in front of my friend. I was like, okay, so I'm not crazy, like, it's not just me. And she was walking around, prancing around the house, and I was just like, I'm gonna let her live, like, whatever. So then her boyfriend walks over and all I see is this in his pants. And I was like, oh my God, like, I am scarred. Like, are y'all some swingers? Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And she was like, did you shower today? He's like, no. And all I see is, I was like, oh my God. So I tried my hardest to just not even look his way the whole night. Cause I'm like, this is so, like, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment from this whole thing. So we had dinner. It was nice. We had a vibe. We left. Cool. Right? This is where things get sticky. So this is where things kind of get, like, so one day they actually came over our house. Finally. They wanted to support our business that we had. Finally. Because, you know, we were the givers in the friendship. They were like, oh, we want to purchase whatever. Like, we'll come over. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, y'all come over. They came over. When I tell y'all I looked a hot mess, I looked a hot mess, and I didn't give two shits. I had a bonnet on my head. I had on baggy clothes. I sat down on the couch, and they're just staring at me like, who is this woman? I'm like, hey, y'all, have a seat. You know, sit down. I don't need to get dressed up or feel like I need to have one up on somebody because I'm secure in who I am as a woman, as a black woman, and in my relationship. So, yeah. That was a piece of lint flying around. So, so one day, me and my husband got into a really, really bad argument. I texted her and I was like, this is what happened, X, Y, Z. She's like, oh, do you want to come over? So I was like, yeah, I'll come over. And I remember this day vividly because it was National Margarita Day. I came over there. She had margaritas made for us. She had a charcuterie board for us. And I was like, oh my God, I felt so touched. I was like, oh, I really appreciate that. Like, she cared, So I told her what happened, and I cried a little bit, and then she hugged me and we talked, and all this stuff happened. And then at this time, her and Coach D weren't seeing eye to eye. I feel like he was a little bit jealous that we were getting invited over there a little bit more. And there was just certain things about his personality that we all just kind of stopped liking. And she would talk shit about him and he would talk shit about her. And then they would come and tell us. And so I was at a point where I felt like, I need y'all to have a conversation with each other because y'all are putting us in the middle. She would come to me and say stuff to me, and my husband would be there, and then he would go to my husband and say stuff to him and be like, oh, y'all doing this, y'all hanging out with them, blah, 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 blah. I need y'all to have a conversation. So I told her, I was like, hey, Coach D reached out to us. I need y'all to have a conversation because it's putting us in a weird situation. I feel uncomfortable. And so that moment was about me. That entire me coming over there, us drinking, chatting, having that was about me. She flipped it and literally made it about her. She texted his phone, Coach D. She texted him and was like, I'm tired of you talking shit about me. And I was like, and she told me, and I was like, why would you do that? And I grabbed her phone. I should have just said, psych, I'm just playing. When I replayed in my mind, I'm like, why would you do that? So I'm looking at the text. And I just gave her phone back, and I'm just like, why would you do that? She's like, oh, because he keeps talking shit about me. I said, I did not tell you that. I did not say that. In reality, he was talking shit, and she was talking shit too. So, but I didn't tell her that. So I'm just like, I didn't tell you that. And she's like, well, I don't care, blah, blah, blah. Her favorite words was, I don't care. She allegedly don't care about nothing. But, so yeah, she swore up and down she didn't care. And then he called her and they were arguing, and then he called my husband and they were bumping heads and he was blaming me. And I'm like, I didn't say anything. All I said was that y'all need to have a conversation. I didn't say what was said. I didn't say none of that. So I don't even know how that even came about. I don't know if she was drunk or I honestly, to this day, I don't know. And I don't really care because at the end of the day, she made it about her and it wasn't about her. And Coach D's a very, very petty person, and I felt like he was going to flip the script and say, oh, Donita was talking about you too. So I was like, let me just get ahead of the situation. I was like, well, since we're on the topic, I was like, there were a couple things that you did that rubbed me the wrong way, and I did ask about you. I just asked if you were cool. And so she's like, well, what do you mean? So I explained to her some of the things that I felt uncomfortable with that she did. And she starts crying, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I give her a hug. And then she's like, I apologize. I'm sorry. That's not what I meant. I wasn't talking about your husband's, D. I was talking about his butt. I'm like, you shouldn't be talking about nothing down there. Because I don't disrespect your relationship. I don't disrespect you as a woman. I felt like that was disrespectful. I'm not worried about nobody trying to steal my man. That's not the point. The point was that I felt disrespected. I'm not worried about him stepping out on me. I'm not worried about somebody trying to steal him from me. I felt disrespected as a woman and as a friend. If me and you were building a friendship, why are you doing those things to me? That's what I was upset about. It literally really had nothing to do with him. It was more so how she made me feel. So yeah, I told her all of that, and then she apologized. She was crying. It was just so much drama that night. I was like, I have to go back home because she offered for me to stay the night. I'm like, no, I want to go home and check on my husband since you basically ruined his friendship with Coach D. And so the next day she texted me and apologized, and I forgave her. And then after that, Coach D and Vaughn had their conversation. Things kind of smoothed out. It took a little bit of time, but them two fell out. Coach D and Elizabeth, they ain't cool or whatever. And then so she reached out to me a couple of times after that, was asking if I wanted to do lunch. And I told her I didn't really have the funds. I didn't have the money because I wasn't really working at the time. I didn't have the coin to do it. So then she starts saying how she's depressed and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, do you want me to come over? She's like, no, I'm just going to get through it on my own. I've been here before. And I'm like, okay. So then after that, she was like, starts distancing herself from me. So I reached out and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Sorry y'all, my camera battery died. But so, you know, she's like, oh, I'm so depressed, this, that, and the third. And I was like, you know, I'm praying for you, things like that. And then I was like, hey, is everything good between us? And then she's like, you know, I'm sorry, I just can't get over it. But you were talking shit about me, and you told me, and I appreciate you for telling me, and I just can't get past it. And this is the same girl that goes on social media and makes posts like, oh, what people say about you behind your back is none of your business. And I'm just like, first of all, I never told you I talked about you. I told you I asked about you. I didn't call her no name. I didn't say nothing bad about her. I just said, is she cool? Like, she was doing too much. And I felt like she was doing too much. Like, we're trying to build a friendship and you're over here like doing weird stuff towards my husband. Like, I didn't disrespect her relationship not one time. I didn't come for her and say, you know, how come y'all don't live together? Like, why are you half in his house, half not in his house? You know, like, why ain't y'all, you know, why don't y'all get engaged or married? Like, I didn't do none of that. I never crossed the line. I always kept it cute and I kept it cool. Like, you know, I fucked with her. Like, I respected her. And I don't feel like she did the same for me. So when she said that to me, I was like, I never told you I talked about you. I told you I asked about you. And I was like, it sounds like it was a misunderstanding. She's like, yeah, you're right. It was a misunderstanding. And I was like, okay, like, are you cool? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. Okay. And then she's like, you know what? I just can't get past it. You never even apologized. What am I apologizing to you for? Because technically I did apologize and I gave you a hug. But what am I really apologizing for? You know? Like, you apologized to me because you did something wrong. Like, you bent your little head down, looked at my husband's crotch and was like, he has a lot of junk in his trunk. That's not something you say to somebody, especially as a person who's in a relationship. And I just felt like she literally flipped the whole script. I honestly feel like people don't know how to be friends. They don't. And sometimes it's traumatizing. They don't know how to be a good friend to you. You can give them the shirt off your back. You can give them your last dollar and they still just don't appreciate it. They don't see that. And also, people avoid conflict, you know? I feel like she's so used to people kissing her ass that when someone actually confronted her about something, she didn't like it. Because if we're being honest, like, you did something to me, not the other way around. You did something to me multiple times. Not only did you do what you did in those instances, but you also kind of messed up Coach D and my husband's friendship. And I still forgave you. I forgave you. You mean tell me you can't forgive me for something that you made up in your head? People are delusional. I also felt like there was like a lot of colorism that went on with her as well. I feel like maybe she like has like an identity crisis, because when I sit back and think about certain things, I realized that she didn't have no other black friends. I was the only, me and my husband were, well, and I guess Coach D, we were the only fully black friends that she ever had. Her circle was no black people at all. The second time I was in her presence, her boyfriend was playing with her hair and she was like, oh, you can't touch a black girl's hair, and then looked at me and laughed. And I was just like, okay. And then like when we went out that night for his birthday, we were trying to figure out where to go afterwards, because the particular bar that we were at, like, you know, the music was okay. She said, I don't want to go to no ghetto bars. And I was just like, white people are ghetto too, you know?
Something else that happened that night as well. When we were at the club, she was standing directly in front of me and my husband was behind me. And, you know, he's taller than me. So he was like, babe, she's on your social media, just like going through your pictures and stuff. And I was like, babe, be quiet because you can't whisper. And then she hurried up and like logged off. But that was weird. And something else that happened after we like fell out, her man was like stalking my husband's stories since last year. And y'all, this happened like 4 years ago. And so up until last year, he was following my husband on social media and watching every single story. When I tell you he didn't miss a beat, he did not miss a beat.
So there was just certain things that I peeped, that I noticed, and I almost felt like we were like in a competition. But she's the type of person where she has to be the only cute person in the room. Like, her other friends aren't that attractive. And so I felt like it was cool for her. But with me, I'm an attractive girl. Like, we gonna be neck and neck, or I'm gonna be up here. Like, if I want to show out, I can, you know? So Even when it was her boyfriend's birthday, I looked super cute. I purposely didn't wear, you know, that purple dress that she had on because we bought the same dress. I actually ended up showing her a picture of my outfit. I had on a skirt, a turtleneck, and like a cute piece of like jewelry that went around my neck. And I was like, hey, here's what I'm going to wear. And usually I don't do that, but I wanted to just make her feel comfortable. I didn't want to make her feel like I was coming to outshine her. I sent her the outfit. I actually ended up outshining her because my outfit turned out, everything just looked flawless. Like, I couldn't help it. And it wasn't on purpose. It was literally an accident. But she still looked cute. Like, she's naturally a pretty girl. But anyway, I don't know. I just, when I think back, and then I'm like, you know, the most me and my husband ever did was weed and alcohol. Like, they dabbled into other stuff. And I'm just like, why were we friends with them again? Because they were kind of weird. Like, they did other extra weird stuff that we just don't do. So, but you know, I kind of really like the diversity of it, because I don't really have like a diverse group of friends. And I was like, oh, I'm excited to see, like, I feel like I learned a lot from them. Like, we've tried different cultures of food, different things. Like, I was introduced to like halal food through them, and I was like, oh, you know, like, I like this, you know, it's different. But I also honestly feel like that she just had her mind made up. Like, I don't feel like there could have been anything that I would have been able to do differently. She would have just found a reason to just not like me, honestly. Because when I really sit back and think about it, I'm like, I did nothing to this girl. I did nothing to her. She just wanted a reason to not like me. And, you know, I have a lot going for myself. At the time, you know, like, I was the married one. Like, me and my husband, like, we still traveled and did stuff like they did too. But, you know, I have a degree. I had my YouTube channel that she never supported. I was in media, and I was an ambitious person. Like, I always had an idea. I always wanted to try something new. I always wanted to do something. And I guess that's just not how she really is, you know? So sometimes when I sit back and think about the friendship, I'm just like, I poured so much into her. Like, I filled her cup, and I made mine empty. So yes, my ass, like, that friendship traumatized the hell out of me, and I literally was in counseling. Not just because of that, because of my own personal battles, but like, that was one of the reasons why I sought out a therapist. Because I'm like, I need to get over this. Like, it was hard for me to get over it. And another thing that I noticed was that, you know, I feel like she was an alpha female. Like, I felt like she always felt the need to be in control. I'm an alpha female too, but she always wanted to be in control. Like, every time we hung out, it was always in her domain, her space, what she wanted to do. Even when we went out to eat, it was places that she picked, you know. And I'm just like, okay, like, I'll give you what you want, but I feel like a part of me should have been like, no, let's go here, or let's do this, you know. Like, it was always on her time, her schedule. And I'm taking that back. I'm taking that shit back, and you get in this video. Elizabeth. And I also feel like God removes you from certain situations in unexpected ways, because you're not meant to be, you know. Maybe my time being in her life was to just fill her cup, you know. Maybe that's what my season was, because when I think about it, we were only friends throughout the fall, and we stopped being friends in February, you know. Like, maybe that's what my season was in her life, to just fill her cup, which sucks, because I'm like, hey God, hello, like, what about me? But then it's also a lesson learned to me that I should stop giving so much early in friendships. And God removes you from certain situations because you never really know what someone's intentions are. Like, let's look at Selena, for example, the singer. You know, she had someone that was her friend, like, you know, messing up her money and stuff, and doing whatever she was doing with it, and ended up killing her, you know. So, like, I always pray, remove people from my life who aren't meant to be here. And it sucks that sometimes you don't want, like, you pray for certain things that you don't really mean, but then when it happens, you're like, damn. But I really sit back and think, like, you know, maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because who knows what her real intentions are, or what her real motives, or what she's truly capable of, you know. It's just like, maybe that saved my life, you know. And I thank God every day, and I pray to God every day. But sometimes I just be like, that was just so messed up and so stupid. And I think another reason why I was traumatized about the situation was because I was accused of something I didn't do. And it was like, for someone to literally just make something up in their mind and go with that story and believe that story, I was like stuck. I'm like, what? You believe that? That's what you really, really believe? So I don't know what her version of the story is. I don't know what she's going around telling people, that I was talking about her, or I think she wanted my husband. Like, no, ma'am, that's not what I think. I think that you just didn't respect me as a woman. That's the issue. And when I called you out on your shit, instead of owning up to it and just saying, yeah, you know what, you're right, I fucked up, like, I apologize, which she did apologize, but you have to get over it too. Like, if I did something messed up and you caught me out on it, I'll be like, damn, I messed up, I'm sorry, like, I hope you can forgive me, because I forgave you for messing up, you know, his friendship, or putting a little damper in a friendship. Like, I forgave her instantly. So I don't know, y'all, but that is my story time. I'm just coming on here to say, like, you know, people need to learn how to deal with conflict. People need to learn how to deal with conflict resolution. People need to learn how to have a conversation, because sometimes a conversation can just literally lead to an understanding of, okay, this just happened to be miscommunication, or, you know, this is something that we can get past, like, it's not that serious, or this is something that we can, you know, agree to disagree and go our separate ways. I feel like people are so too busy, like, ghosting people, and, like, I also feel like social media plays a part in it too. Like, people are jealous of people's lifestyle. I don't try to paint this picture perfect lifestyle on my social media, but I also don't really post personal stuff. Like, I post my wigs, I post my travel vlogs. I don't sit here and say, oh, I'm perfect, my relationship is perfect. I never say that. I've had old friends who try to paint this picture perfect lifestyle, and they just post pictures of them smiling, and it just looks so fake. I'll make a video of me and my husband walking, and I'll be like, y'all, he's annoying. And it's real. You know, it's real. Like, we are happy in the moment, but he's still annoying. So, yes, so that is my story time. And let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Let me know how you guys dealt with trauma in some ways that you overcome it. I feel like for me, like, going to therapy definitely helped. Understanding that not everyone's going to be like me helps. Talking about it helps. And yeah, just being the best version of me that I can be, and know that it's not me, it's them, you know. And if there is a part of me where I feel like I messed up on, I have no problem admitting it. Like, that was one thing that my counselor had said. She's like, you know, you really do take accountability. And I was like, yeah, I do. But I also can't force people to hear that, you know. Like, they have to be willing and wanting and mature enough to be really ready to have those conversations, and people aren't mentally ready to mature and have those conversations. A lot of women don't know how to be friends. A lot of women aren't really ready for friendships. Like, people watch shows like Friends and Cheetah Girls, and they think we're supposed to have this clique, and sometimes in reality you're not. Jesus had one person, two people. Like, he ain't had that many friends. So, and they betrayed him. So yeah, y'all, I think God is elevating me to a new level. So that's why I'm in this season alone. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But that doesn't mean I don't have any friends, okay? I have my best friend, Eris. I got my husband. I got my family. So I'm very much loved. But let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can get reminders every time I post a video. And I will see you guys next time.